Well, I say, instead of wasting all that money to terraform Mars, why don't we take care of our beautiful planet? All right? Why don't we stop killing each other, stop polluting the planet, and we can live here in harmony on this planet if we'll get it right. But the idea that we're going to just move to Mars and everything will be fine is ridiculous, because we're just going to carry that same bad seed with us, that seed of war and greed and environmental degradation, and plant it there. So if we don't get it right here, then we're never going to go anywhere else. And if anyone out there was a fan of Star Trek, you'll remember that the prime directive was do no harm. So I think we need a global debate about what kind of people we're going to be when we leave this planet. Now, I'm probably going to die before that happens. And so I hope that guys like you and people listening will help keep that question alive. What kind of people are we going to be on this planet as we do step off into the universe, which we're a part of? I hope to God we won't be killers like we are today.
So what about like meteors and asteroids and that kind of a thing, and those kind of threats? I believe every now and then there's pretty we come pretty close to getting hit with something every now and then.
Well, rather than creating go out and blow them up, which I think could then very easily be turned around and fired back to Earth to take out some country we didn't like it, I'd be more in favor of developing tugboats, space tugboats, that could go up and kind of nudge them off course, all right, so that they skip on by us. So, you know, I think there are more creative solutions than just shooting things.
Awesome. What's the scariest thing that you have learned in all your years about these kind of threats? Anything in particular?
The scariest thing I ever experienced was in 1989. NASA was launching Galileo, another space mission with plutonium on board. And I came home that day, one day, after you know, being at the Space Center protesting that launch. And I walked in the house, and my 9-year-old son, at that time in 1980, was wearing a gas mask. It was a gas mask that I used to use for demonstrations, and he had it on. And in his most serious voice, he said to me, "Don't worry, Dad, it's okay. If Galileo blows up, I could just wear this for the rest of my life." And he was serious. He was trying to make me feel better, okay? And it broke my heart. Every parent's wish is to protect their children. And the sheer thought that my son at 9 years old had to live with this thought broke my heart. And that scared me more about the age we're living in than anything else ever has. And I promise you that every day, every breath that I've taken since that time has been motivated by what I saw my son do and say that day.
In contrast, what's the most positive or inspiring thing that you have experienced in your years of activism and research?
Skype.
Skype. Awesome.
No, I'm serious. Young guys like you even know about this issue, that even care about this issue of space technology and everything that's going on. That excites me. That really excites me a lot. And it gives me hope. It makes me feel that the work I've done for all these years is being heard by someone, that someone cares about it, and that they're working using technologies that exist to teach others and to organize others. That is the most important thing that could happen. That you two guys are recognizing, like I said earlier, that the most important job of a human being today on this planet Earth is to protect the future generations. And that's the best damn thing that could ever happen.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah, so you're a veteran, sir, and I was wondering, you're a member of Veterans for Peace, we know about that, and I was wondering if you've heard of a group called Veterans for 9/11 Truth, and if you would be interested in joining them. They advocate.
I would actually. I'm a person that early on, right after 9/11, when the citizen inquiries were held, the first one was held in San Francisco, I believe. I was invited to go speak there, and I did. One of my friends was one of the organizers of that, and she told me at the time that many people in the peace movement would not, they had been invited to come speak there, and they wouldn't do it because they didn't want to be associated with it. Well, I have always believed that the United States government was intimately involved in creating the 9/11 incident. I don't know all the facts, like most of us don't, but what I do know enough of is that clearly it wasn't just two airliners crashing into the buildings that made them come down. And to me, there's overwhelming evidence that this was a rigged deal. So I've long been a person that is not afraid to speak up about 9/11, and the reason why 9/11 was obviously done by our government was because they wanted to create the justification to create these endless wars. And so I've tried to connect these dots as best I could and to show how they were all related to each other. And so I try to do that in all my work.
Well, we commend you for speaking out about 9/11. Many people, as you said, are afraid to, don't want to speak out about it, but we've had quite a few guests on our show discussing it, a former presidential candidate as well as a man, Greg Roberts, who helped write a recent paper discussing nanothermite, which was found in the dust of the World Trade Center towers. So it's very important information, and we commend you again for speaking out about it.
Well, in my book, which is called Come Together Right Now, Organizing Stories from a Fading Empire, in there I put in my testimony at the Citizens Inquiry in San Francisco in my book. So I was proud to have been invited there. I was proud to have spoken there, and I was proud to acknowledge that by putting that in my book so people would know that I was not afraid to talk about 9/11, and I still am not afraid to.
Good. Because
so send me information about Veterans for 9/11 Truth. Is that what you said it was?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, send me that information.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
All right. Well, excellent, sir. Thank you for joining us on Unstacking the Deck.
Good luck to you guys.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure. Moving on to our national news, we have first from Technology Review, published by MIT, RNA-loaded nanoparticles fight cancer. In a first human trial, it appears that these particles have been successful in reaching cancer cells and silencing the target gene, but unfortunately they tend to flush out of the body quickly. They could cause toxicity problems or an adverse immune response. So they still have to perfect these things, but sounds like it's a good start potentially in combating the consequences of our poisonous environment that we're manifesting. To really start to stem the tide, we need to work on prevention now and stop polluting our environment and ourselves.
Continuing with the health news, from Medical News Today, anti-cancer agent stops metastasis in its tracks. Researchers in Japan have isolated a natural substance dubbed migranstatin, which is secreted by Streptomyces bacteria, which is the bacteria that's the basis for most antibiotic drugs. And they said that they were able to mess around with it genetically. They increased it up to 1,000 times strength, and they found that the agent was actually able to impair the tumors from growing anymore, and that it would stop cancer tumors completely from spreading. So it's not a cure, but it's definitely a prevention.
On the note of cancer, coming from the ACLU, patents on breast cancer genes ruled invalid in ACLU public patent case. It seems that the genes that are associated with ovarian and breast cancer were patented by a group called Myriad, and essentially their ownership was preventing any inspection of these genes other than the use of their own patented techniques and whatnot. So this was barring people from getting their genes checked out to see how their cancer risks are and all these things. And I wonder, how these people sleep at night that own control of like who can look at your own genetic code. It's absolutely insane. And if you watch the documentary The Corporation, it actually goes into how the original breach of patent law coming over life was the creation of a genetically engineered bacterium that supposedly eats oil. And I don't even hear about the stuff being used, but now there's apparently I think 6,000 or so, a massive amount of different patents on our genes. And so pretty much the ruling says that, that it was discovered, not created, and gene patents put up unacceptable barriers to the free exchange of ideas.
From naturalnews.com, antibiotics linked to increased risk of birth defects. It says taking antibiotics during pregnancy can increase the risk of birth defects, according to a study conducted by researchers from the National Center on Birth Defects and Developmental Disabilities and published in the Archives of Pediatrics and Adolescent Medicine. The antibiotics most strongly linked with birth defect risk were Bactrim, Furidantin, Macrobid, Macrodantin, and Septra. The researchers suggested that women avoid taking nitrofurantoins and sulfonaminoids when possible. And apologize for my pronunciation of the crazy science words.
We got another one from Natural News. This one's about hospital superbugs kill 48,000 patients a year and cost $8.1 billion to the economy. It's actually interesting because it's been shown in studies that antibacterial soaps pretty much make superbugs too, and so we're basically making super strength bacterium by outsourcing our immune systems to all these supposed protections. And so anyways, a study was published in the Archives of Internal Medicine on these superbugs killing 48,000 patients a year in hospitals. Pretty much two main ways that they're spread is through contamination of scalpel or whatnot during surgery, causing sepsis, or pneumonia from infected breathing tubes being inserted, being poisonous. And so anyways, some people who are perfectly healthy and simply having an elective procedure end up dead in the hospital. And so this results in longer stays, and it talks about all the different statistics in it. But pretty much our insane Western medicine has created a bunch of superbug factories, and so they don't even have to genetically engineer the swine flu like we've discussed as being a possibility on this program. But we can just make them because of these basically insane so-called medical facilities. So,
from Bloomberg Businessweek, topical drugs may pollute waterways. Showers and baths are potential sources of hormones, antibiotics, and other medicines that pollute water, the paper says. It says that it's the first study that has linked bathing and showering with this type of water pollution, and they've also said that this water pollution is actually worse because it's not like pharmaceutical drugs or something else which are broken down by people's kidneys and livers before they enter the water stream, but this are lotions or gels or skin patches, like anti-tobacco patches or all kinds of stuff.
yeah.
And all that stuff just getting rinsed down off of the shower or off your clothing right into all the water, which of course seeps into the water that we drink again.
Yeah, you'd think that anything like this should have been studied for that. Pfizer to pay $142 million for drug fraud. This is about their drug called gabapentin, an anti-seizure drug which was marketed under the name Neurontin. And apparently 1/6 to 1/8 of the people that take it works for, but about the same proportion of which 1/8 or so have adverse reactions. And so most people who get no benefit at all end up with, at minimum, chronic neurotoxicity of the brain, basically is what this article says, and this is from the CBC.
From CNN.com, feds found Pfizer too big to nail. More Pfizer news. Pfizer, the world's largest pharmaceutical company, was caught illegally marketing Bextra, a painkiller that was taken off the market in 2005 because of safety concerns. Internal company documents show that Pfizer and Pharmacia which Pfizer later bought, used a multi-million-dollar medical education budget to pay hundreds of doctors to be speakers and consultants to tout Bextra.